welcome Governor Dean here to kick off this voter registration drive. Such an appropriate spot for it to happen. And we will all look forward to working with him once again to make history in November. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the very kind of introduction. It's great to be back in Lewiston, and it's an honor to be standing where John F. Kennedy stood. And this actually is actually very timely, because this election is the first major election since 1960 where we see a huge transformational candidate coming forward. Barack Obama represents a new generation of American leadership, and he represents a rekindling of American optimism after 30 years of ugly, divisive, scapegoating politics that we need to change. I think there's a lot of things that Barack Obama stands for, but I think the most important thing that he stands for is creating the American family again, where we're all together, where it doesn't matter if we're Republicans, Independents, or Democrats. We need to get something done and stop fighting about the things that we disagree and start working on the things that we do agree on. And he has reached out to all kinds of people, because ordinary Americans are not getting a fair shake from the Republican government. And the truth is, the sad truth is, that John McCain represents 4 more years of George W. Bush's policies in Iraq, 4 more years of George W. Bush's policies on the economy, 4 more years of George W. Bush's politics on health care. We can't afford that as a country. Largest deficits in the history of America. You can't trust Republicans with your money. So I'm just delighted that Senator Obama is reaching out to Americans of all kinds to put our country back together again and get us back on the right track. We really do need change in this country, and I think Senator Obama can do that. And this is really a generational election, as it was in 1960 when President Kennedy came to speak. It's an election about the new generation that's coming forward, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. But first, some more mundane things. We need you to help us get people to vote, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. We have some very short-term needs, though. This is a serious state for us. Senator Obama, of course, needs to become President of the United States, but Tom Allen needs to become the United States Senator. And Lewiston is going to make the difference there. If you get a big turnout in Lewiston, Tom Allen will become the next United States Senator. You know, Susan Collins is a perfectly nice person, but she has voted with George Bush every single time on the war, and supported President Bush's energy policy, which gives the tax cuts, instead of going to ordinary people from Maine who are struggling to pay their property taxes, the tax cuts under Susan Collins and John McCain end up going to ExxonMobil, $1.2 billion worth of tax cuts. So we need to have big turnouts here, not just so that we have President Obama, so that we have Senator Tom Allen, who really will represent what the people of Maine need, not what John McCain and George Bush need, because the people of Maine ought to be the first concern of a Maine senator and not the Republican hierarchy in Washington. We've had enough of that. So you can make a big, big difference here. So the internet is great. We've learned a lot from the internet. We've been able to organize, and television is great, but nothing beats door-to-door campaigning. And I don't mean door-to-door campaigning one time with 2 weeks to go. I mean building relationships with other human beings. You remember my campaign from 4 years ago when I told you you had the power. Well, you really do have the power. You have much more power than Rush Limbaugh or Bill O'Reilly or any of those people on television. You personally knocking on doors. And let me say something to the young folks here. You don't think you're as powerful as you think you are. It is incredibly flattering to people my age to have people your age knocking on doors asking us to do things. Because as you get older, it matters less and less about national issues, and more what really you understand you're really leaving behind is your family. That's what you really have. That's what you build in life, and that's what you leave behind. So for us to have somebody your age knocking on doors, asking us to do things, there have got to be people in this crowd who are torn between Senator Clinton and Senator Obama and couldn't make up their mind, but their kids kept pushing them. You got to vote for Obama. You got to vote for Obama. And there's a lot of people out there who said, "Oh, okay, okay." Why do we care what you think? Because you're what matters to us most. So it is unbelievably flattering. We may not always agree, but it is unbelievably flattering for people my age to have people your age come and take the time to knock on our door, especially if it's repeat, not just one shot, especially if it's 3 or 4 times. The most important thing is that Senator Obama wants to bring the country back together again. He wants to end the divisions that the Newt Gingriches and the Lee Atwaters and the Karl Roves have found so convenient to help politics. You know, that may be good politics, but it's not very good for the country. So we want to heal America and bring Americans back together again, no matter what party they belong to. The other thing that he wants to do, which I think is really critical, is to restore American moral authority in the rest of the world. Since George Bush went into Iraq without telling the truth to the American people about why we went there, we are no longer the country that everybody looks up to. We need to be that country. You know, we're in the state of George Mitchell, one of the greatest United States senators that ever lived. George Mitchell brought Catholics and Protestants together in Northern Ireland and ended a really bloody conflict. Jimmy Carter and Bill Clinton brought Israelis and Palestinians together and began to reduce the violence and begin the long peace process that has to take place there. You can't bring people together around the rest of the world unless people look up to you and respect you. And people will not look up to you and respect you unless you respect them. And what Senator Obama will do is to show the rest of the world that we will respect them and work with them. We will continue to be firm and strong, but being firm and strong is not just about having well-equipped troops and a big military budget. Being firm and strong is standing up for what's right around the rest of the world and standing up and letting people know that they can earn our respect and we intend to earn their respect. So restoring America to its greatness, to the great position that we had from the end of World War I until we went into Iraq. We need to restore American greatness around the world so we can have a stable and safe world so that our kids won't have to go to Iraq and Afghanistan and Vietnam, that our kids can stay here at home and have families and build this country back to what it was before George Bush and John McCain took it over. We can do better than this. We're going to have a better country. We can't do it without Lewiston, Maine and all the help that we need from you. Thanks very much.